Welcome everyone. Today we have a new updated tier list guide for patch 1.2 for Zenless Zone 0. Now as you can see behind me, there are two updated tier lists. There's also my personal tier list for the S rank characters and also for the A rank characters. And to add a little bit more to this video, I have also started to make the character tier list for the limited banner character that has released in the game. And this particular tier list will be ranking the characters according to the field time, the team compositions, the roles, the damage potentials, and also the flexibility, together with how strong the character will be in the future patches. Because we'll be forward looking with future characters like Yanagi and also Light, we'll also look at how those existing characters will perform in the future in patch 1.3. And finally, I have prepared some notes for the ZZZ teams for those of you that went for ZZZ. And together with additional characters and also reference of characters that might go up in the ranking of the tier list, and also characters that may be falling in the tier list. So coming over to the first part of the updated tier list, as you guys can see, Mattjestic has updated the tier list, and as to be expected at this early stage of the game, most of the limited banner S-rank characters will be on top of the tier list. You can see some additional characters that can be A+ rank, and also a lot of supporting characters are on this category. Similarly, GG has updated the tier list, and again, most limited banner characters are on the top of the tier list, together with a strong preference towards Lycan because of the stunning characters. You can see that some characters like Nicole, Sogaku has been falling in the tier list simply because there are more characters, and we'll be discussing this part on the final part of this video. Now, if you guys are not familiar with those characters and also want to know why the characters are ranked accordingly, I'll recommend you coming over to the articles, and I have the links available for you guys to have a look at the reasonings behind those characters. Now, in order to make things more interesting, I have spent the time and also did some theory crafting, and you can see this is a work in progress Excel from my previous Excel where I'll have a look at characters, but I want to rank them in comparison this time. So at the moment, during the launch of the patch, we'll be looking into the next banner for Burnice. So I have added Burnice in from patch 1.2. Now, if you haven't seen the video about the new characters 1.3, it is going to be Yanagi and also Light. And there will be more information for those two characters in the previous video. Make sure you have a look. So this video, let's have a look at my rankings for all the characters. So one of the first things you want to have a look and also consider, let me see if I can make this a little bigger for us. Maybe that's too big. So maybe one there, yeah, that works. So one of the first things you want to be aware of the characters is how long is their field time. The field time of the limited banner characters will determine what team composition they can go into. Now, sometimes it is not always bad to have a high field time like Jen, and also high field time like Ellen, and also Qingyi. But you gotta be aware, when there is one character with high field time, you don't want a second character on the team that also requires high field time. So Jen, Dao, Qingyi, and also Ellen, although they're pretty good S-rank characters, they probably won't go together well as a team. So this is the starting point. You want to combine characters with a low field time, character with, again, low field time with a character with a high field time. And in the future, as we update the tier list for the character builds and also team comps, you're going to see most of the characters are combined in such a way. So Soldier 11 will be a high field time, while you have Caesar and also Lucy as the low field time characters that supports the team. And this of course brings us to the team comp composition. So the team comp basically means how well this character can fit with other characters. If you haven't heard, and I'm sure you guys have heard, Caesar is a very universal, flexible character that can fit in most of the team comps. But other characters like Ellen will be focusing on her particular Ice team comp, and this is a similar case for Zuyuan, who needs at least one stunner that enables her to fit and also deal high burst damage when enemies are stunned. So she needs enemies to be stunned. So characters like Zuyuan and also Ellen can be a little more dependent on the team comp and also elements of characters, while characters like Qingyi and also Caesar can be more flexible because their requirement to activate their talent is less, and also they can be flexible on many teams because she provides a buff while she provides additional stun damage and also additional days. Character like Burnice is also not bad, simply because she can be very off the field and she can fit more team comps that provide with additional anomaly damage and also fire damage. Now the performance and the roles of the characters are pretty straightforward. Some of the characters will be more utility based, some of the characters serves well on the field, while other characters serves well off the field. Again, similar to the field time guys, you want to take a mix of character that does everything, or you want to take a mix of character on the field and also off the field for the best team composition. Now in terms of the damage, flexibility and also upcoming synergy, you can see a clear preference towards the latest new limited banner characters like Caesar and also Burnice. A standout character like Caesar will have particularly high ranking simply because she can be more flexible and fits in many teams. While characters like Burnice, she will be enjoy additional feature buffs to the fire synergies and also fire teams. Because we know that patch 1.3 and also 1.2 will have, patch 1.2 will have Burnice on the second half of the banner, while patch 1.3 will have Light, who is gonna be a fire stunner. So those characters are favoring towards fire and also electric team comp buffs. And this is one of the reasons for the final ranking. So whether if the character fits in the future patches, they will get a buff in terms of shielding defense, ambush mode, and also defensive mode, because characters will get special buffs and will be a little stronger during those patch. Now during this time again guys, you can see a pattern over here. Character with longer field time and also low flexibility tend to have less potential for damage and also less potential for flexibility, of course. And here you can see the upcoming buffs for Ellen and also Zhu Yuan are not going to be very high, because likely we won't see another ice character until patch 1.4 and maybe even later for another other character. And because of this, those two elements of characters might not be favored in the next patch for patch 1.3. Now this of course brings up to my overall summary for those characters. I'll give Caesar for the highest ranking simply because she's universal and she's more flexible. And you can see the ranking of each of those characters accordingly. And the pattern over here is that during patch 1.2, those characters will likely have a higher ranking due to the limited amount of S-rank characters. But in patch 1.3, as we get more characters to count in the team comps, those characters, some of them will lose in rarity and also in scarceness, because more and more characters will be added, so you'll be expecting this tier list will be updated for 1.4, 1.5, and eventually Zenless Zone 0 2.0. Now I know some of you might be asking, hey Matt, you haven't looked at all the standard banner and also limited banner S-rank characters. So just to break things down, I have made my own personal ranking on the characters, and this is my ranking for all the S-rank characters. Now I'm not saying Soldier 11, Necromancer and Collider are bad, but they are positioned in such a way that I think those three characters are on the top, and then followed by Lycan together with Ellen. Reyna and also Grace are flexible and also characters that will be buffed in the future patches. I don't think Soldier 11 is that weak, but probably should put Soldier 11 a little higher, simply because there will be more fire characters that works with her. So this is just to give you guys a visualization of how I perceive those characters. And similarly, I have ranked the A rank characters. Now the A rank characters, I purposely shifted them down to 1 bar, and this is just the positioning of the characters in my preference. The top 3 supporting characters will provide more damage, more control, and also more shield. And then the flexible patch 1.2 supporting characters, and together with Ben to provide more shield. Because of the defense mode in Shielding Defense, you want to survive, and defensive characters are getting more popularities simply because they provide a shield. Together with upcoming fire characters, Ben can also work in a fire team for additional critical rate. Now coming over to our final part for the notes. Yes, I prepared a lot of things, so make sure you guys use the links below if you want to go through any of those parts in more details, and I'll share the Excel with you guys to have a look. There's also my previous overview Excel for those characters with more notes, but I'm sure we don't need to go through that video, right? So we do have a video about this one, and if you guys want to have a look, feel free to do so. So over here, I want to spend a little more time to look at Caesar King and to justify or to reason behind my rankings towards her with a very high ranking. So as you guys can see, Caesar King can work with Jen can work with Burnice to be a very powerful anomaly team. And at the same time, we can work Caesar without Burnice because right now the Burnice banner is not out. So here we can have Piper instead of Burnice over here to allow for additional anomaly damage together with Jen. But once you have Burnice, this will be the stronger team. Now in terms combining team comes with Caesar King with other limited banner characters, you can go with Ellen and also Sokaku, and you can go with Juan, and also you can go with Chingy with Caesar King. And this is actually the team I'm currently using for my team comp. Very powerful because we get multiple dash effect, and both of those characters are running dash together. Zuyuan can deal a lot of burst damage once enemies are stunned very frequently. Now if we're going for a more free-to-play team with Caesar King, we can go with Necromancer, we can go with Soldier 11, or even Billy works with her. And there is a lot of more builds and also guides if you guys are looking into building her. Again guys, we're not trying to sell Caesar King. I'm just trying to show you guys the reasons behind ranking her for a very high ranking flexibility character. Now for a future updated team comp video, we'll look into the best team comps for all of those characters I mentioned over here, and we'll also look into team comps for patch 1.3 characters as an update and also forward looking. So finally, as a summary of characters that may be rising in patch 1.3. So Seth is definitely a character that I have seen a lot more plays in 1.2 simply because surviving in the game, Seth provides more anomaly damage and also provides a denser shield. Piper and Lucy are becoming very popular among the Chinese players, simply because they are the enablers for Caesar King, and also they can fit team comps much more easily with Burnice and also other characters. Now if you haven't seen the characters for patch 1.3, Light will be a fire character, a fire stunner, which can enable Soldier 11. Now knowing that patch 1.3 will have an electric anomaly character like Yanagi, Reina here will be an amazing electric support. So this is coming directly to prepare for patch 1.3. And Reina could be considered some of the strongest support for additional penetration and also additional lightning damage, which can be very much enjoyed with additional electric anomaly damage for patch 1.3. So you can see that we have the buffer and also attackers prepared for patch 1.3 characters that will be coming. Now in terms of characters that may be falling in the tier list, again the Ice team for Lycan and also Ellen was the strongest team at the launch of the game. But at this stage, this team seems to be a very monotone and also very stable in damage, but it's not doing enough damage and it cannot enjoy other new characters because Ellen and also Lycan are the best buddies. You can go with characters like Caesar King, but that feels a little, I guess, not as great compared to Lycan and also Ellen. And during this time, we're mentioning about the replacement of characters in patch 1.3 with Light and also with Yanagi. And they will be directly kind of replacing the roles for Colida and also Grace. And this may be the case, so there may be a chance those characters will come in a better version in patch 1.3, making the previous standard banner characters a little weaker. And finally, the supporting characters Nicole and also Sokaku, as you can see in the tier list, is a little red arrow that's going down, right? Those characters are seeing a drop in popularity because those characters are A-rank characters. Even if you get them to Mindscape number 6, they might still be weaker compared to Mindscape number 0 characters who are limited banner characters like those ones over here. And because we can only fit 3 characters on a team, and most people are looking towards more limited banner S-rank characters, and this is why those characters, supporting characters, are falling off a little bit. They're still great free-to-play characters, but compared to the new characters that are coming, you might want to consider saving some resource for those new characters. Now I know there was a lot of information and a lot of tabs that was opened. Because I want to provide you guys with more information of the upcoming tier list for the characters, and I do want to be more informative. And for the future, once we have this Excel set up, I'll be adding more characters to come. So let us know in the comments below, guys, what do you think about the ranking of those characters, and which of the characters and team comps are you having the best time going? And are you going to summon for patch 1.3 characters? Because once the live stream comes out, we'll be making a character guide video to see if you want to summon for them or if you want to skip for those characters. Now, similar to all other videos, if you want to follow the notes, those will be available in the links below. And if you find my videos helpful and you want to see more future videos for ZZZ and also other games to come, make sure you subscribe to the channel and keep the notification on for the latest content.